welcome to Revelations.
Hey, it's great to be here, William.
Thank you for taking time to talk with us, Jay.
Yeah, no problem.
Kalki. Who is Kalki, Jay?
Well, according to the Vedic teachings, God or Vishnu, the great creator, he has 10 incarnations onto our plane of existence on Earth. And the last two have been Krishna and then the Buddha. And the 10th avatar is the next one to come, so there's been 9 already. And the 10th avatar is not going to come until things get so bad and so rotten that we have no other choice but to have him come. And he's the one avatar in the prophecies that is not coming to bring a teaching. That's not his point. He's to come here for he's to give a teaching, but the teaching is to destroy the purveyors of lies and the people who have created the Kali Yuga. Whatever you want to call them, the bad guys, the Illuminati, the Archons, and so he's here to. He knows that he cannot get rid of them without revealing the truths, and then the truths will destroy them, and so he's overthrowing them without resorting to their own method, i.e. violence. So that becomes the trick of the last avatar. And in fact, he paves the way. It is in some of the Puranas, which are the ancient texts from India that were finally written down about 2,000 years ago, but were originally thousands of year old oral tradition. They say that he's really, in a way, the precursor to Kali, who is his female counterpart, and that she will come. It's almost as if Kalki fails, then Kali comes, and Kali will draw no quarter. And so Kalki is like the last best chance for everyone to get out of the Kali Yuga peacefully and alive, I guess is how you would put it.
So what inspired you to write the film and put it on screen now? Do you feel like we're at that low point where we could see the emergence of Kalki and Kali, perhaps?
Yeah, I do. I think we're at the. I think things have gotten. There's been a great spiritual awakening, but at the same time, there's been an endarkenment, I call it, across the world, where we're going into the dark ages in many countries, and it's quite terrifying. And I think what we need is a unifying message of spiritual unity that will then pervade the local minds through, of course, this medium of mass entertainment, and create a higher awareness of who each of us really are, and then that will hopefully begin to enable people who wish for the Kali Yuga to end and the Golden Age to begin for their work to begin succeeding in a more clear way. And so I think what we're seeing is that people are so entertainment, especially, is exhausted almost. It's not really. There's not a lot of really good stuff coming out anymore, and it's almost as if the people that running the entertainment industry don't know how to choose things that are successful, so they're just going sequels and comic books and graphic novels, and they're not really going after the meaty stuff that they used to go after. I think it used to be more meaty anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so I think what's going on is without the I think the idea of Kalki coming back is good enough to start this spiritual revolution. And what's interesting about it is that when I started the film, I which was about almost 4 years ago now, when I started writing it and making it, I knew about Kalki, but I didn't know very many people that knew about Kalki, and I wanted Kalki to come back, and he wasn't coming back. So, but then I got on the internet, and I discovered that there are indeed actually thousands of people, all males, who think that they're Kalki.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. And it's almost like there's been, instead of which would be very Kali Yuga like, instead of an incarnation of a single Kalki, Kalki's incarnating into like thousands of people who are all kind of in unison working to end the Kali Yuga. And that's real. I mean, that's actually, that's a real thing.
Well, that's interesting too, because your main character in the film, Shasta, which is wonderful, by the way, his name is Jack O'Ryan, and he's kind of the opposite of that. He doesn't know anything about Kalki. Just the opening line. You have a great opening line in the film. Right before everything fell apart, I kept having these dreams. Wow. So tell us about Jack O'Ryan as your main character and what you were looking to do with him.
Well, he was just trying to find somebody more. A lot of my fans, I think probably a lot of your fans, William, are the millennials. These young people that are, came of age at the millennial, and they're now in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're wonderful. They're such a wonderful generation, but they're just completely lost, most of them. And the ones that have discovered meaning in their life, are some of the most wonderful people I've ever met. But most of them, are searching. I get the emails from them, wanting advice, like I'm qualified, And so I wanted to actually make a film to them, a film that would kind of bypass a lot of the claptrap that they have to put up with, and actually make their generation heroic. And so that was one of the things I wanted to set out to do. And then, of course, help them understand some of the deeper spiritual concepts, which I know both you and I know will lead to a golden age if these concepts get out in a big-time way, which I know, we're both promoting them as fast as possible, because there's really not much money to be made promoting these things, but the world that could come from a deep understanding of what a human being really is and what a human being is capable of is really the key to this kind of thing that we want to have happen. So I made a film about an everyday guy who is a little bit like me. I was a screenwriter in Hollywood. Did not like the films that I was writing, and I escaped one day by going on the Pacific Crest Trail. So all of that is actually somewhat biographical, and I did fall in love with Mount Shasta back a long time ago. And so what happened is that I moved to Ashland, Oregon a few years ago, and because it has a large acting community, because of the Shakespeare Theater there, and I was with the intention of making feature films. Mm-hmm. And I got into the lore of Mount Shasta and Lemuria, and how Shasta was so close to the word Shastra, which means teaching, in the Vedic knowledge. And it began looking at the lore of the Native Americans, who said that shining beings lived up on the mountain. And just the whole thing, started appealing to me in a way that almost felt real, like maybe it possibly really was something going on at Mount Shasta. And then I put up, so I went down to Mount Shasta, little town, and I put up, this is years ago now, I put up a thing on the bulletin board at the organic co-op there, and, if you have any weird stories, call my number, right? And, man, I got like hundreds of calls of people who'd seen all sorts of stuff up there. And then it slowly started collating, the story of what if, a group of people escaped the Archon invasion by going into a preconceived built tunnel system or cavern inside the mountain, and, to foment a spiritual revolution at a later date. And then that all became kind of folded into the Vedic, my Vedic studies, which I guess is my hobby, and there it came out as Shasta.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, this kind of, it harkens of the hidden directorate, the Melchizedeks, all the various ancient groups that are sequestered in mountain ranges that are awaiting this time. Claire and I were just in Rennes-le-Château a couple of weeks ago, and we had a neurosurgeon turned shaman on our tour who picked up on the crystal halls of Christ Court beneath the whole Languedoc area. And
yes, that's exactly right. In fact, that's kind of like the duh of the whole Rennes-le-Château thing. What did Father Saunier find? Duh! He found the underground system. That's right. What he was looking for all that time. The people saw him wandering around in the hillsides right in the morning, always looking and searching. He found a map. This is what I believe. He found a map in the chapel, and that he found the Templar underground system that's in those mountains. Yeah, that's what I really believe that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We spent time in the caves as well, the Bethlehem Cave and others, just kind of thinking, wow, this whole story of humans gaining awareness, a big part of it is recognizing these advanced ancient civilizations that are still here, and they're the ones that made it out alive or safely.
Yeah, I really, really believe that. I call them relic races. It's actually what the Pentagon, in a deep project looking into these things in the 60s, reached a conclusion that there were relic races living underground, spotted all over the planet, and that they, I don't know if they made contact with them or not, but it may be one of the reasons why, say, the Chinese, felt so compelled to invade Tibet. And it's just strange. When you look at the history of the discovery and discussion of these underground things, it starts in about 1880, and then Madame Blavatsky gets it really running, and then people start looking for these things, like going into South America and Tibet, and even here in the Americas. And so by the 20s, it's becoming like, yeah, this really does exist. And then by the 30s, the military is looking into it. And, and now things seem to have quieted down, but, did they just make some kind of deal and now they're not being bothered? Or did they exterminate these relic races? Or are they doing, as we hope, staying tight until the moment comes when they can spring and bring the Enlightenment, which is what I think is going on.
Exactly. Jay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about your wife Sharon's participation in the movie as a producer and an actress. Did a great job, as well as Neil Donald Walsh. This is Revelations. We'll be right back. We're continuing with Jay Weidner. Jay is the writer and director of Shasta, a Revolution of the Spirit. Jay, I thought one of the great performances in the film was given by your wife, the beautiful Sharon Rose. Tell us about Sharon and her role.
Yeah, Sharon, well, I was casting the film, and we were looking for someone to play her role, and then one day we were working on the film, and I was like, but actually you're probably the one that could play it the best. So we kind of gave her a tryout, and she actually was a natural. The funny thing about, not funny, actually one of the harder things about the movie was we actually had to shoot it twice. The first time we shot it was in the fall of 2010, and the Royal Shakespeare actors from Ashland overacted it a little bit. They were doing a kind of a stage acting. So we kind of had to create an acting school where we taught people how to act like in movies, which is really where you aren't acting. It's natural. It's completely different. And so Sharon was one of the only actors who actually picked up the natural style, right away, because she didn't have that preconceived notion, I think, that staged actors might have. But anyway, I learned a lot on how to deal with actors by going through that experience. And I can tell you without any doubt that, well, the hardest thing in filmmaking, the hardest part of filmmaking is writing the script. But the second hardest part of filmmaking is getting good performances. And it is not easy, and anyone who thinks that it's easy to make a film has not really ever tried to make a film, at least where the acting is, somewhat decent, for a low-budget film. And so, yeah, it was really incredible to be working with Sharon. She was really good. And she didn't have a big role, but her role was interesting. And, of course, we also have Count Saint Germain, who, of course, you know, is legendary roaming around Mount Shasta, is played by Neil Donald Walsh, who was actually my neighbor in Ashland, lived behind me, actually.
He did a great job.
Yeah, he did. He's a very good, very subtle actor. I think, personally, that's his best work. I watched all of his films recently, and I came away thinking to myself that this is definitely Neil's best work ever.
I love that line when he's talking to Jack O'Ryan, he's telling him that the people don't need another leader; they just need someone to tell them the truth.
Yes, yeah. And actually, the great thing about Neil is that he took base pay for the acting, which was $400 a day, which is what I was paying everybody, which, you know, was amazing that he did it. But then the next thing I know is he's in my living room in Ashland for the next 3 or 4 days, rewriting my entire script, which was awesome. I was like, yeah, man, keep going, don't stop. And so a lot of the really good zinger lines actually came from Neil's rewrite. He didn't want credit for it, didn't want pay for it, just kind of, I'll go over your script for you. And wow, it was great. He was a wonderful guy.
Yeah. You can find the film at shastamovie.com. And in it, Jay has put together not just a wonderful cast and a beautiful story, but also some of the most powerful light-body graphics and animations where, to me, I mean, you can really feel the energy coming off the screen. So congratulations, Jay. Way to go.
Yeah, thanks. That was, I went out and I priced the animations that I was going to need, and the first one came in at $2.7 million.
Wow.
And the second one came in at $180,000, and I was paying for this myself, and I couldn't do this. And so I was at a loss, and then through the internet, I found this great guy in Amsterdam who was an artist, and so we worked out a deal where I bought him all the equipment and software that he needed, and he did it for me. And I gave him some money eventually, but I got someone who just loved the whole idea and had passion for it and worked a lot of hours without getting paid probably as much as he should because it was an extremely low-budget film.
Well, it was very well done. I mean, the guy should be extremely proud because that's the type of imagery and just vibration that can have a huge impact. And I remember talking with you, Jay, back maybe 2010, 2011 when you were writing it, and your intention really was to put that energy and that light body vibe out there. And so here you've done it, so way to go.
Well, thanks. I think, and I always think of film and movies as a form of alchemy. You're constructing images of light and throwing them on a screen, permeating into people's emotions and their spirit if you do the film right. And that, so that was what I was really trying to do is offer film as an initiatory experience. And, I think that, it's but not really been tested that much. Kubrick did it in 2001. To a degree, kind of initiated us to the dark side in Eyes Wide Shut. But, it really hasn't been done as much as I think it can be. And I'm hoping a new kind of genre will start of initiation-type films.
Absolutely. And, something else I like that you did in the film is this character, Mary, played by a Day. Wow, she's got some talent.
Yeah, 80 is her name.
80, pardon me.
Yeah, 80. And she hired to play the role, and we did not know that she was a musician. She scored on the she's just really good in our camera test. So we were making the film. Like I said, we shot it twice. Well, in between times of the first and second time, she went out and made an album and came over to my house and said, "You want to hear this?" And I sat down and she played me this album, which was like a cross between European Berlin kind of show tunes from the 30s and Chopin and kind of a mixed eclectic blend of millennial music, kind of rock and roll with folks, it was just so much put together. I'd never heard anything like it. And I said, oh, well, I have to use this. And so I bought 4 or 5 of the songs off the album and used them in the movie. She's wonderful. She's beautiful, too.
Yeah, great texture and music, and her acting was really great, too. Really believable character, and just when people see the film...
I think actually she could be a superstar, actually.
Yeah,
I really do. I think she could end up actually making it in Hollywood.
So now, Lord Archon, pretty cool character.
He's a bad guy. So I had to encapsulate the entire Archon Illuminati mythology and do it and put it into one character so that there could be some kind of redemption. And again, it's like how do we if Archons are real, and I think they are, then really the question is how are we going to get rid of them? And and again, getting rid of them is almost Archon language because that's how they treat everything. And so we have to really, one of the things that we have to do is find our humanness again, that the Archons are drilling out of us. And that's one thing that is so important. And I think it's only through that, empathy and love of being a true human that we can win. And the Archons can at least we may never get rid of them, but we can at least find ways to suppress the damage that they do. That is maybe the best that we'll ever do. Because otherwise we'll just end up like them, and we can't do that. So that's the trick. That's the trick that we all face as a race right now, I think.
Well, I agree with you, Jay. And when you look around and you realize you've got this huge transhuman movement that's happening, and it's like it's going to be a tsunami in the next few years. And you realize, well, wait a minute, we're right on the cusp here of the Archons taking complete control of humanity.
Well, we are, and what's funny about the Archons is that they cannot do it. There's 2 rules, apparently, that have to be followed in this game. One, they have to tell us ahead of time what they're doing, and 2, most importantly, we have to tacitly agree to whatever it is they're doing. And so that's what's going on. They prefigure events and then tell us about it. We see it now. A lot of us are beginning to pick up on this pre-programming kind of thing that they're doing with the media. But what can we do about it? We can't really do anything about it. And so we have to find another way to go around what the Archons are doing. And I believe that way is through the revelation of the light body, which is the only way I can feel that we can really do it. I really believe that just by contemplating the light body, that you gain empathy for all living things. When you can imagine their light body and your light body and how they're all related to each other, then I think this great empathy happens, and I think that's the key to our escape. That's our escape plan. It's water boiling on a pan on the stove can only escape by turning into steam, by transcending itself. And I think that's the point that we're at now. We have to rise to a higher level of understanding that rises above the petty politics that are destroying the whole planet and us as a species.
Another line from the film, Kalki is coming to kick ass. He's going to save the Earth. And let's just hope it's in time, because now is the time. And you can, again, learn more about Jay's new film, Shasta, at shastamovie.com. So, Jay, the film is screening now, and there's also opportunities for people to host screenings as well, right?
Yeah, we're taking a grassroots approach to this. I don't want to... film business is falling apart right now, and so I'm going an entirely new approach to film distribution. And so if you're all interested in helping distribute the film, just go to Shasta Movie and contact us, or go to my website, jweidner.com, and contact me, and we will need all the help we can. It's a grassroots movement, and everyone's got to participate.
Yeah, I mean, it's time, because as you plainly show in the film, the invasion of the Archons is is here, and it's up to us to stop it for all the future of humanity. Whether you believe in a Kalki or a Christ or a return of a Buddha figure, however you want to term this, now's the time. And I think one of the nice messages in the film too, Jay, is that it's in all of us, and we can all embrace this, and we can all activate our light body, and that this, in fact, is not just the greatest secret ever told; it's the greatest thing any of us will ever do.
It is. It's now time to spread this all worldwide while we still can. The golden age is upon us. I firmly believe it. But we have to, ignite it and trigger it, which is up to all of us.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, thank you so much. I know you're a super busy guy, and thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with us today. Again, congratulations on Shasta, and we'll look forward to talking with you again here on Revelations.